Good morning YouTube, another video on the Micra. Got a bit of devastating news in this video unfortunately. So Ash, our engine builder and tuner, came to the workshop last night and we started to strip down the 1.6 engine that we were going to use this year. And unfortunately we found some issues with the 1.6 engine, which means we can't use it. Unfortunately it's terminally damaged. So this is the 1.6 that we were going to use, the QG16. Obviously we've taken the head off. We've got a Vitara piston, which is the piston we're going to be using this year. But as soon as we took the head off, it wasn't looking pretty good with all this scum in there. I wasn't really concerned about that because, you know, we were going to be rebuilding the engine anyway, so it'll all be cleaned, it'll all be honed and bored out and everything like that, so it's all spick and span. Unfortunately, when we took the cylinder head off, this piece of the block broke away. Now this piece of the block here is the back, which is part of the coolant gallery. And as you can see there, that's how it would sit. And literally, as soon as we took the head gasket off, that broke away. And you can sort of see by all like the fresh marks on there, because I know a few people think that we're going to have dropped this engine on the floor, causing the damage. But you can see how filthy where the brake is and how dirty it is. That, you know, this is how the engine came to us. So yeah, unfortunately that means this engine is knackered basically. We can't use it. There's no real way of putting that back on there without making it, you know, really brittle. You know, it's cast iron, and cast iron at the best of times is a pig to weld. So unfortunately this engine's a no-go. Yeah, so when we got this engine back in October last year, there was a couple of red flags with it straight away. And the first one was the core plug was missing out of this part of the block behind where the dipstick goes. I originally just assumed that when they depollute these engines in the breaker's yard, they pulled the core plug out. And another issue, if I can find it on the table of doom, where are we? Yeah, and the other red flag was inside this inside this coolant gallery tube. Not sure how we can see it, but it's really corroded inside of there. And again, you know, my thought process was we're going to rebuild this engine anyway, so it doesn't really matter what condition it's in, what condition the engine's in, because it's all going to get redone. But unfortunately, that means this piece here means that's the end of the road for the 1.6. But fear not, because in the last video we mentioned that I bought a 1.5 to chuck in the car while the 1.6 went to be built. Obviously we still need an engine to do a lot of mock-up work, and you know, externally the engines are identical. Just to go back a bit, so that's a 76mm bore, which means we can use 1mm oversized Honda D series pistons. And this is a 73.5mm bore. So I kind of knew that if the 1.6 didn't work anyway, we could use the 1.5 and bore it out to accept the 76mm pistons. And that's exactly what we're going to do now. So today we're going to take this engine back out. We're going to put that engine back in, because even though it's damaged, I can still use that block for mock-up purposes. We can then send this engine away, hopefully this week, to go get bored out and machined and cleaned and all that. And you know, while still having that to use for mock-up. So while we've got both cylinder heads off, we've got both cylinder heads here on the table. That is the head off the 1.6, and obviously you can see that there's been some sort of overheating issue, possibly with head gasket or something along those lines. I mean, the piston would definitely say there's been some sort of coolant issue on there. I'm a bit annoyed because, you know, unfortunately I bought this engine all the way back in October, so the chances of a refund on this are going to be pretty slim. Obviously we've got the breaker's yard tag on there. I'm more annoyed that we didn't spot this damage sooner. You know, as soon as we took the head off, it was bloody clear that it was knackered. I'm a bit annoyed that we didn't spot it earlier, because, you know, we're sort of 4 weeks away from having to get this engine running, the car running, and you know we come across this. You know, I'm glad we did. But yeah, back to the cylinder heads. That's the 1.5. That's the 1.6. We have measured the cams. So they're the 1.6 cams, and the 1.5 cams are over there. We've measured them. The cams are the same. According to Engine Specs Wikipedia, whatever that website is, the 1.6 head has 1 mil larger valves, both on the exhaust and the intake, than the 1.5. We've measured it, we've confirmed it, so that head, which is off the 1.6, has bigger valves, and the combustion chamber is 1 mil bigger as well. To match the bore, it's not exactly 76 millimeters. It's like 75-ish, and that's 73-ish. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to try to clean the 1.6 head up, because all the machinery required to put the bigger valves in that is going to be really expensive. And then, you know, again, we're still in budget constraints here, so you know, we're best off using the 1.6 head. So yes, it's frustrating. You know, the engine wasn't due to be going for a few weeks now, so I'm kind of glad that we've discovered this now, because it means, you know, we know what we've got to do now. So yeah, we're going to take the 1.5 out today, put the 1.6 back in, so we can continue the mock-up process. We'll probably put the 1.5 head back on the 1.6 block, because it does fit. Head gaskets all lines up. Head gaskets slightly different though. So we continue the mock up while the 1.5 gets built. So yeah, a bit frustrating, but you know, it is what it is. There's no point getting angry at anyone. You know, I have emailed the breakage yard that I bought the engine from, in hopes that, you know, they might give a bit of money back. I don't know. I mean, I paid 220 quid for that engine, and I paid 125 for that engine delivered on a pallet. So yeah, I'm a bit annoyed, but yeah, there's no point getting angry at it. So yeah, that's it basically. That's just a quick video to update people on the engine, because I know on social media last night people were telling me I dropped the engine and stuff, and you know, it isn't the case. I mean, you know, if I dropped the engine, that would be, the brake would be a nice clean cut all the way along the casting, but you can clearly see that's probably the reason why the car was scrapped and the engine was taken out. So yeah, so I'm gonna get the engine swapped out, and then we'll see you in the next video. So yeah, thanks for watching.